And joining us right now on the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline, Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop, is Akis Yerocostas from Kings Herald. He is the editor-in-chief of the Kings Herald. And Akis, thank you for joining us. As always, your time is much appreciated, my friend. Are you keeping or moving on from Harrison Barnes?
It depends on the price, I think, and that's going to be Monty's call. I kind of soured on him a little bit after the playoffs because he wasn't exactly the most valuable player for us when he should have been, given his experience and role in the season. So I wouldn't be bringing him back for like the $20 million he's been making, but I could see him being valuable off the bench or even at a lower deal just as a short-term solution while we try to find someone, because it's going to be harder to play someone of his talent.
Yeah, don't you think Monty McNair probably sees that as an opportunity to upgrade, though, as much as they might like Harrison Barnes, that they can do better with that money and with that spot?
I think so. I think that spot is probably the one where if you look at our starting lineup, it's the clear spot where it's like, okay, we need some more length and defense or rebounding somewhere. And power forward seems to be the spot where you can maybe do that. Or you can even move Keegan over and try to get like another wing at small forward. But it does seem like the spot that most needs an upgrade.
Akis Yerocostas with us. Akis, a lot of talk about Sasha Vezenkov. We know that Mike Brown over in Greece, watching him, talking about him. If you did bring Vizenkov into the fold, is he part of your starting five? Is he coming off the bench, or is he not a part of this team? What is your perfect world?
Well, I think he is part of the team if you bring him over. He seems to be a very good player. I haven't really watched a lot of him, but just from reading and what I've seen, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Nemanja Bjelica, where he was a EuroLeague MVP when he came over as well. But I don't necessarily see him as a long-term starter. I don't know much about his defense, but to me it seems like he's more of an offensive-oriented player. And for the Kings, it's more of offense is great, but that was not an issue for us last year. So for me, I think he could be a good piece off the bench. I don't necessarily see him as a starter, though.
Do you think the Vizenkov decision, whatever it may be, will determine Trey Lyles' future and whether or not he'll stay in Sacramento?
See, that's another consideration, too, because if you bring Vizenkov over, is he replicating too much of what Trey Lyles brings? I think there's spots for both of them, especially given how kind of weak our backup big positions have been. But they're both seemingly similar. So I do think it will have an impact, depending on how much they need to spend to get Vizenkov and also for Trey Lyles.
Akis Yerocostas with us. Akis, you just mentioned you could slide Keegan to the 4 if you wanted to. Where do you think he's best suited? Is he a 3 or a 4 in your eyes?
I think long-term he's probably a 4, especially in today's NBA. But I think he does, especially while he's younger, he does have the athleticism to be a 3. So it depends on what the Kings surround him with. But I think he has the ability to play either. But I think long-term in the NBA, he's probably a 4.
Did you lose any faith, confidence in Domas and the how big a role he can play for this team moving forward after the playoff series against the Warriors?
No, not really. I mean, he was just such a big and important part of our team this whole year. It was clear from the first game that he was the primary game plan for the Warriors, is to slow him down and slow our offense. They got rid of a lot of our dribble handoff options, which pretty much dominated our whole offense this whole season. And he just wasn't necessarily able to punish them. But I think in a series like that, he looks at it, and he's young enough and he's a hard worker, that he's going to be like, okay, now I know what I need to work on so that doesn't happen again. So I'm not worried. He went up against the champs. They had a great game plan for him. But I think he's going to come back better for it.
Akis Yerocostas joining us here on the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports on this Wednesday. Akis, Ramie and I have talked about this a lot since the end of the Warriors series, the physicality, the toughness of this team. How much do you think Monty needs to go out there and find one of those guys? Davion Mitchell is there, of course, but we talk about the PJ Tuckers, the Marcus Smarts, that kind of player. Josh Hart, do you think that's a necessity this offseason?
Yeah, you mentioned Josh Hart. He's probably my dream free agent signing for the Kings this year. I think he likes New York too much and being with his pal Brunson to come here, but he would be perfect because he provides that toughness, and also he's a phenomenal rebounder, as we saw when he played against us and had about 12 offensive rebounds or whatever it was. But yeah, we do. I think, and we were talking earlier about Harrison Barnes needing an upgrade there. I think part of the thing we need is we need an elite or near elite defender in the starting lineup. Davion is an elite defender, but I don't see him as a starter on this team when you have De'Aaron Fox playing. So I think you need that someone in the starting lineup that can provide that for you.
Do you think Monte McNair is set on keeping this core together? When I say the core, I mean the five guys in their 20s and who are under contract right now? Or do you think pretty much anybody but De'Aaron Fox or Domantas Sabonis, they'll pretty much listen to offers for those guys in the trade market?
I would probably put Keegan Murray in there. But then again, this is the same GM who traded Tyrese Halliburton in his second year when he saw the opportunity come up. So if you look at who he worked under, Daryl Morey, he's another guy that was not afraid of making big swings when he felt like he needed to. So, yeah, I think Fox and Sabonis are safe for sure, and probably Keegan, but I wouldn't put it past him to make some kind of crazy swing if he thought the opportunity presented itself that would make this team significantly better.
Akis Yerocostas with us. Akis, speaking of trades and all of that, first-round picks are pretty much handcuffed by the Herter trade. Is Davion Mitchell the most realistic and best trade chip they might have?
Mitchell or Herter, probably. Herter did not have a great playoffs, but he's a great shooter under a really good contract for his position. So I could see him being used as a chip. Sometimes salary is more of an important need when you're trying to trade for some of those bigger name players. And Davion doesn't make that much money compared to Herter. So it might be easier to trade him. But yeah, without including someone like Keegan Murray, Mitchell's probably up there. And he made a good name for himself too in the playoffs. And I do think Mitchell would do well as a starter in some places. It's just he's kind of stuck behind De'Aaron Fox here.
Yeah, do you think he earned himself, if he's not traded, a bigger role off the bench next season? Because he was a non-factor, and we knew he was, off night, and he's going to live in whoever he's defending. He's going to live in their jersey, but he was basically a non-factor in the offense. Do you think that'll keep his minutes where they are next year, or do you think he earned himself a bigger role with this Kings team if he does stick around?
Well, I think it definitely depends on if he can continue to improve his outside shooting. So he was left open a lot by the Warriors on purpose, and early in the series he made them pay a little bit, but then that shooting started to go away, just law of averages, and he wasn't able to punish them. So even though he was doing such a good job, as good a job as you could do on someone like Steph Curry, offensively, you could see that we were playing basically 4-on-5 at times. So he really needs to be able to figure out how to do some damage on that end to get a little bit more time. And I think in the regular season, the rotations are a little bit more lax than the playoffs, and he might be more built for the playoffs in specific matches because he can come in for defense. But to get a bigger role, he definitely needs to start working on his outside shot. I mean, I know he's been working on it, but it needs to get more consistent in actual game time.
Last one for you, Keith. And again, thanks for the time and joining us. We always love to catch up with you. How crucial is it for Monty to hit on these late first-round picks moving forward?
Well, if you look at the playoffs now, you see all these contributors, role players that we have that are doing well that are either late-round first picks or even undrafted players too. Like for the Lakers, Austin Reeves, he's been phenomenal for them all year, and it's a guy they just picked up kind of off the street, and he's developed into a great player. All these good teams seem to find late first-round picks or second-round picks that can turn into contributors. And with the Kings, as you start getting Fox's extension and eventually Sabonis' extension and then Keegan's extension in a few years, you're going to need to be able to have these players that are on rookie contracts or cheap deals that can actually sit there and play 20, 30 minutes a game. So, yeah, it is very important. He's done a very good job so far, but this is going to be his first time out of the lottery, so we'll see how he does.
Akis, man, thanks a lot. Let's do this again soon. You were great.
All right. Thank you, guys.
There goes Akis Yerocostas from the Kings Herald. He's the editor-in-chief. And, of course, he was on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Yeah, you have to nail those picks. You have to nail these, late teens, low 20s, early 20s picks. Because if you do that, it helps you so much with your depth. And it means you don't have to spend a lot of money on the depth pieces. Rookie contracts, cheaper on the books.
Yep.
So that starts this year. The Kings slotted for the 24th pick. It starts this draft. Starts about a month and a half from right now. Monty's got to hit on these picks. And he's shown good evaluation skills, but of course, he's had 3 relatively high picks, especially last year with Keegan at 4. So It obviously gets tougher to hit when you're in the 20s. So crucial for this team.